Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Adwita Nikam and today we are going to learn about light and reflection, the most important topic in JEE Foundation, and in this video we are going to unlock the secrets of light and reflection. First, we will study about light. Light is the only energy which can be seen, and it also travels in a straight line. This property of light is known as rectilinear propagation of light. There are two phenomena of light. First is reflection, which we are going to study today, and second is refraction. First, now we will see the activity to prove that light is in rectilinear form. Take a flexible plastic pipe, keep it straight and look at the glowing bulb through it. You can see the bulb, but bend the pipe from the middle. Now, can you still see the bulb? No, because light travels in a straight line. This proves that the property rectilinear propagation is true for light. Now we will study reflection. The throwing back or by a body or surface in the same medium without absorbing it is called reflection. In simple words, the phenomenon of bouncing back of light in the same medium is called reflection. Reflection takes place when rays fall on a smooth and polished surface, especially mirror. When the light ray comes from the object, it is called incident ray. When the object is luminous object, the light comes in ray forms, and these rays are known as incident rays. And the point on mirror where these incident rays strikes is the point of incidence. The bouncing back of light, as we studied in the same medium, is called reflection, and the rays which are reflected are called reflected rays. The path of reflected ray is decided when we draw a normal ray through the point of incidence and perpendicular to the mirror, we obtain the angle of reflection. So here we will study the reflection of light. Here is the luminous object, and from here the light travels in a straight line and strikes here. This is the point of incidence. And from here we draw a normal which goes through the point of incidence and is perpendicular to the plane mirror. And the angle between normal and incident ray is known as angle of incidence, and the angle between reflected ray and normal is called angle of reflection. So angle of incidence and angle of reflection are equal. So when we draw normal, we get the angle of incidence, and if the angle of incidence is 60 degree, then we draw a 60 degree angle here also, and we get the reflected ray, and from the reflected ray we get the image. When we draw normal, two angles are formed. One is angle of incidence and the other is angle of reflection. Now we will see where is angle of incidence formed. Angle of incidence is formed between the incident ray and the normal, and the angle of reflection is formed between reflected ray and the normal, as I told you. The angle between the incident ray and the mirror is glancing angle of incidence, while the angle between reflected ray and the mirror is glancing angle of reflection. The distance between the real path of incident ray and the reflected ray is angle of deviation. We will study these three angles. So this is glancing angle of incidence, this is glancing angle of reflection, and this is angle of deviation. So here we can see that this is the true path of light, but the mirror here is the obstacle, and thus the light changed its path. The original path of light and the changed path of light, this distance is, or this angle is the angle of deviation. Now we'll see the law of reflection. Incident ray, reflected ray and normal are in same plane. As I told you, angle I means angle of incidence and angle of reflection are equal. Converging and diverging. This is the most important point when we obtain images from the mirror. This is diverging or coming from one point. So here it's the point and the rays are coming from it and are diverging, which means they don't meet anywhere when they go ahead. But here we see these are converging, means these lines are meeting at one point here. So we will see this in curved mirrors. In concave mirror, we see that lines are converging, means meeting at one point. And in convex mirror, we see that the rays are diverging, which means they are not going to meet anywhere when they go ahead. So concave mirror is known as converging mirror and convex mirror is known as diverging mirror. We will learn more about this curved mirrors and plane mirror in the next video, part 2 of light and reflection. Now we'll see apparently and really. This is apparently, which means dotted lines. And this is really, which means a straight line. Now we'll see some properties or the main points in object or the luminous object. Incident rays come from the object. Second, object is of two types, real and virtual. So, how we will determine which is real object and virtual object? Let's see. Incident rays are really diverging, while in virtual object, incident rays are apparently converging. Now we will see some main points about image. Image is formed due to reflected rays. There are two types of images, like those are real and virtual. When reflected rays are really converging, means they are really meeting, real image is formed. And when the reflected rays are apparently diverging, virtual image is formed. Apparently diverging means they are going away from each other. Now let's see the formation of real image. Here is the object, and I would like to mention one important point here, that real image is only formed in concave mirror, not in convex nor in plane mirror. So here it is the object and here it is the real image. And one more thing about real image is real image is always formed on screen. It is not formed behind the mirror. And real image is always inverted and smaller than the real object. Here we can see the virtual image. Here is the object and here is the virtual image. But in this we can see that this virtual image is of same size, it is erect and not diminished, and it is apparently diverging. The rays are going from one point and they are never going to meet each other when they go ahead. While here, these rays are meeting at one point here. So we can say that real image is really converging and virtual image is apparently diverging. Now we will see some formulas. The formula for angle of deviation is 180 degree minus 2i, which means 2 into angle of incidence. And I forgot to mention, this is the angle of deviation, which is called del or delta. Angle of incidence plus glancing angle of incidence is 90 degree, and angle of reflection plus glancing angle of reflection is 90 degree. Now we will see sample numerical. The question is, if angle of incidence is 30 degree, find angle of reflection, glancing angle of incidence and glancing angle of reflection. So first we write what is given. We have angle of reflection incidence, which is 30 degree. And by the law of reflection, we have studied law of reflection. By the law of reflection, angle I plus angle GI is equals to 90 degree, which means angle of incidence plus angle of glancing angle of incidence is 90 degree. So glancing angle of incidence is equals to 90 degree minus 30 degree, which is 60 degree. And we have studied in law of reflection that glancing angle of incidence, angle of incidence and angle of reflection is equal. So, and then angle of glancing angle of incidence and glancing angle of reflection are also same. Thus, glancing angle of incidence is equal to glancing angle of reflection, 60 degree and 60 degree. Next, we will study the second numerical. Question is, if angle of incidence is 60 degree, find angle of deviation. What is given here? Also we have angle of incidence, which is 60 degree, and the formula for angle of deviation is 180 minus 2i, which means 180 minus 2 into 60, which is 180 minus 120, and 180 minus 120 is 60. So the angle of deviation is 60 degree. So how was the video? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and do watch the part 2. It is really amazing for future engineers and doctors. Thank you. Bye.